My name is Marty Major with FLIR Security's TCX Training Department. We're here today to do an overview of just the camera settings in the Horizon and Meridian platform. So if you see from our main dashboard right here, on our home dashboard basically, we have our camera settings listed right here in the recommended settings. We also have cameras on the left-hand side. You'll note that when I click on one or the other one, it takes me to the same spot. And if you look here with the individual cameras that I have already hooked up to my system, you've got the indicator here, the little red circle that it is recording. You have the name of the camera itself. If you wanted to change the name, it's quite easy to do so. The recording mode itself, we have three different types that come, well actually three if you don't consider off a type. No recording at all, always recording, motion-based recording, and then custom recording. Now I like the custom because then you can really choose what it is you like. As far as these cameras and when they will be recording. Now notice by default it is in continuous mode and everything is continuous. However, if I wanted to take a particular day, like for instance Sunday, I want Sunday to be in motion detection mode, I simply choose that mode and then draw in the area that I want to be in that mode. So now you can see this, as soon as I hit OK and then apply at the top, it's actually going to be full-time recording or continuous recording every other day except for Sunday, which I have now indicated I want to be motion recording. If for some reason I don't want the hours between midnight and 6 a.m. recorded at all on any given day, I can simply come down to off, come over here to my midnight, actually that's, well, it's, just after midnight, and to 6 a.m. or something like that. Maybe not that far, then to 6 a.m. And there we go. So now you can see we have three different types. They're all in conjunction. I can change any of these blocks to any of these colors that I like to. So literally if I had all this continuous and I had motion right here based on that first day and then I chopped off the whole first 6 hours of every day to not record at all, I could still come down in here and for one block have that be motion detection recording. So you can see it's quite easy to configure. Cancel out of there. Notice my available resolutions are here. These are from the camera itself. This is my aerial camera, which is a 1080p camera, and that is its maximum resolution. If I come down here to my Quasar the UHD camera, this is a 4K camera, and you can see the resolution, then it is much higher. And then down here we also have a camera that I don't believe is even hitting the streets as I speak about it, but it is a camera that we do have in beta testing. It's an analytics camera that has different resolutions completely. Again, whatever the camera has the capability to utilize, those are the choices you'll have in the drop-down menu. Now in the frame rate, of course, it's just quite simple. Simple an up and down arrow if it's at 30, and I want to make it any lower, simple as that. I can come in here and actually affect change just by typing it in, like so. Let's put that back to 30. Notice that once I come out of that section, and now, of course, we have our bitrate profile, which used to be called quality profile. And you'll notice the bitrate profile. A high bitrate profile is going to have a higher calculated bitrate, of course. Notice if I drop this down to medium, this should drop the bitrate down accordingly. And you can see that it does. Once any changes have been made, which I just made the first change actually in this screen here, I simply come up and hit apply. And then it saves those settings. In addition to this, individually setting up cameras, I can, if I had a lot of the same cameras, which you can see I don't, notice down here also, with the camera highlighted and the bit rate calculated, it also can tell you based on the size of your storage how much or how many days and hours, etc., that you should expect to be able to record this camera before it starts to overwrite, if that's the setting that you've got, which most people use. Notice as I change some of these bitrate settings here, it will of course change that estimated archive time or lifespan as well. Now what I was starting to say before was if I had all the same cameras listed in here, once I updated one camera and I set it to its resolution and frame rate and bitrate profile that I liked, I could simply come over to, well, let's see if I highlight this camera here. Here's my big, and the only reason I'm highlighting this one on purpose is for a particular reason. This camera has the highest resolution right here. So if I go to copy configuration, that's what I was getting at, if I had all 4K cameras, they would all be listed here. And the reason they're not listed right here is because my source camera in my copy configuration, and that's what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to, instead of having to go to individual cameras, and again, I haven't sort of a one-off solution here. Most people would have a lot of these similar type of cameras, and they could make some of these setting changes across the board. However, mine are all different. So if they were all the same, I could simply I go to the camera that I set up. It's already it's highlighted, so that's why it puts it in the source field. And then all my other cameras would be listed here, and I would simply check all the way down for the individual things that I wanted them to be able to stream. But you can see right here, this resolution is much higher than the other two cameras. That's why there's nothing showing up right here. I can prove it by coming to my 1080p camera. Let's go to that one and go to copy configuration for it. Now you can see the Quasar camera is there because it has resolutions that are 1080p and higher than that. However, because the other camera is a specialized camera, an analytics camera, it has sort of different sized resolutions, and it cannot take the 1080p. It doesn't have that as a choice. It has things around that, different aspect ratio, but it does not have 1080p, so it is not listed here. Copy configuration is a big time saver, of course. And if you have any questions about copy config, it's got its own little help file right here in the system, which takes you right to our interactive help files. Notice we also have input and output pins, which we can engage and set, and notice they're in the normal state. Again, a lot of these can be changed. If they can't be changed, of course, nothing is there, but this is the normal open. I could change that so normal would be closed and then set up my trigger for an alarm based on it going to the abnormal state than what it's used to. I also have audio section here for the cameras that have that capability, and notice they all do on these three cameras. And we also have serial ports if possible, if the cameras had them. Notice these do not. However, serial ports on cameras are not very common outside of analog cameras, and those are even mainly PTZs and things like that. We also have camera sequence where we can actually set up more than one camera to rotate through a particular spot. Oops, moved out of it. The first thing you have to do is create the camera sequence, then you add the cameras in the sequence you want them to rotate through this pane. It's quite simple. It's been around forever. It's not used a lot in the field that I see too much anymore.
For further FLIR security training, go to FLIR.com, then Products and Security. From the Security page, you would come to Support and then Training. On the training page, we have it divided currently between in-person training and online training. The in-person training includes certification classes in Latitude and many of our thermal technologies. The online training includes upcoming security webinars, which you see up here on the left, and recorded webinars, which of course continues to grow as we do the current webinars. But over on the right-hand side, you'll see our online training video library where we cover a number of different things in our repertoire. If we go to Latitude, you can see we have a series of Latitude training videos like this one that you just listened to, and we are adding to this list, and it is growing fast.